Greetings, Kerbal Killers. Welcome back to another episode of Mod Mondays. Today we're going to look at the procedural mods, one of which I've been using quite a bit of, so I kind of know it reasonably inside and out. The two, which is Procedural Wings, I haven't really used at all. I'll hold my hands up to that one. However, I think it's worth covering them. So just bear with me. I'm copying a KSP clean install. Yeah, procedural wings and procedural fairings. I don't remember what the other one was. I haven't even unpacked them yet. So, kind of need to look into them. So, I thought, while I was doing that, I might as well walk you guys through them. So, over here we have the standard KSP directory. And here we have our mods install. And we can get rid of the scrolling text now. Go away. So, I've already done the procedural tanks, so procedural parts, there we go. It's in the game. Data comes with Module Manager, which that version is out of date. So I suggest grabbing the latest Module Manager. Currently it's 2.5.10. So we go into the procedural parts directory. Annoyingly, it comes with the source code. Well, it's kind of got to because of the licensing agreement, but I suggest you don't copy the source code into your KSP directory. Plugins, that will be where the DLLs are. And they are indeed. Module Manager. These are configs for the Module Manager to reconfigure parts. Been through Module Manager configs before, so not going to go through them again. Within parts, let's go and make this directory bigger for the time being. Kind of touched on a lot of this stuff, but as you can see, Windows has already picked up that certain things are images, like them. They are textures. You can change them. Don't advise anything with _NRM. I don't advise that you change unless you know how to create normal maps. But as you can see, they are editable. So that would be a model, MU file. There's also a plain white one there, which is kind of boring. Any configs in here? Nope. Off from that one. What's in the textures file? Textures config. So I'm opening up with Notepad++. You can use whatever you want. Notepad, WordPad, Vim, whichever. So straight away, stretchy tank textures. Well, load of stuff on there on how to and the values and whatnot. Feel free to take a read. So, original stuff. This would be... Yep. That will be how you set up textures. So first one, sides. Well, that's the texture name, which is original. Then you've got sides and ends. So in sides, it uses that texture with that normal map. Here's your scaling for it. Auto scale set to true, so it automatically does a lot of things for you. Shininess, that's how much it reflects light. And the specular values. Same goes for the ends. On this one, if we take a quick shufty, procedural parts sides is the texture, and we take a look and it's that one. That's the default texture that goes all the way around it. It tessellates around the object, whatever it is. And the ends is, of course, that one. Seen that one before. So, simple to set up your own textures. Next texture name is called tiles. Same again. Stock alike. Same again. German. Same again. Saturn. Same again. So on and so forth. Let's go into, say, tank itself. Here we have liquid tanks, RCS tanks, Xeon tanks and SRB. Let's take a look at liquid tank. Pretty much the config we were expecting. This is a parts config, not a procedural config. So we're loading the cylinder tank model. Stack points. We've got descriptions. Yeah, been through that. Yep. Yep. Name, module name, procedural part. This is the module that defines it as a procedural part. Now, for those running Korea, you have tech limits that can be imposed. So you can set the maximum, minimum diameter, maximum, minimum length, and the maximum and minimum volumes at each tech level. Gonna make sense. If you go all the way down here, where is it? Yep. At this point, it's all completely and utterly unlocked. Diameter max infinity. Length max infinity. Volume max infinity. Hey presto, you can have super huge tanks. I believe the record is a couple of kilometers, I believe, for a tank size. So, next up, another module. We have procedural shapes. You can, in procedural parts, change the shape types. Excuse me. So each one, those are the starting values. That's standard cylinder. Procedural shape cone. As the name suggests, it's a cone. Procedural shape pill. I love the procedural shape pill, especially for doing things like drop tanks on aircraft. So extra value there for fillet, which gives you the rounded ends rather. Procedural shape, laser cones. Yay. So pretty much the same again. Length, top diameter, bottom diameter. So basically, if you needed a size change between, say, 2.5 meter and 3.75, you could put in a procedural tank, set it to Basicone, set the top to 2.5 meter, the bottom to 3.75, and you then have a tank that you can use for whatever. Here we have the module for tank content switcher. Most of the tanks you can change the content. They're not just limited to liquid fuel or oxidizer, or liquid fuel and oxidizer. You can switch between whichever one that you want. So in here, this is where it's set up. Name is mixed. Self-explanatory, you're giving it a name. Dry density, that's what it is when it's empty. Cost multiplier is the density multiplier as you increase the size. And then these two resources are what it's actually carrying. So in this case, liquid fuel. Now, you've got to be careful of units per ton. Most stuff is already defined. So basically, how can I put it? It's a kind of ratio between the mass of the part and the volume of its content. Speaking generically here, because it's not just liquid fuel and oxidizer that you can put in these. You can put xenon gas. You can change the configs so that any of the other resources can go in as well, such as oxygen, food, water, waste, carbon dioxide, so on and so forth. So each of their values here will be completely different. However, most people work off 720 per ton and 880 per ton for liquid fuel and oxidizer. But just as a stepping point to try and get stuff balanced. There's nothing worse than having tanks that are just grossly ridiculous, basically. Your tanks that are basically configured so that all you're taking up is a water balloon full of liquid fuel. I'm pretty sure there's a mod for that as well. So the next tank type option is liquid fuel. As you can see, when we scroll down, there is just liquid fuel in here. Plenty of notes in the config. We love having notes in the config for stuff. Thank you for the developer for putting notes in the configs. We love you. Next tank type, just oxidizer, and that's it. So you can easily copy one of these from there to there, right, and add in your own resource to the tank type switcher. Hey presto! So let's have a look at Xeon tanks. Exactly the same config, well, sort of. Been through all of this, and then down here, one or two. just the one. Tank content switcher. And then the tank type option is Xeon gas. And again, wonderful developers give us notes. We like notes. So that's pretty much simple the way that procedural parts works. And of course you don't just have to have tanks. You do have structural as well, so for example stack decouplers, standard part config file, scroll down, here we go, all the stuff for Korea. And then we have module decouple, pretty much standard, seen that in normal configs. And now you have the decoupler tweaker module. This allows you to then change the size and the ejection force of the decoupler. Now the size is obviously limited by the tech level, as you would expect. Oops, that one. Take a look at a standard fuselage segment, not something I use very often. But again, looking round, yep, there's the career tech levels. Limits. So added in the module, procedural shaped cylinder. That's the only one that's available for this. Oh no, it isn't. You've added cones in. Cones, pills, laser cones. Wonderful. And then tank content switcher is basically empty. So, parameter there is structural, yes or no. And that's pretty much it for procedural parts. You can configure it to carry any resource that is defined. Hydrogen, not a problem. Argon gas, so on and so forth. For those using TAC life support, when you install procedural parts with TAC life support, it will create a set of life support tanks for you so that you don't have to configure them. For those using Deadly Reentry, it will create procedural heat shields for you, which personally I love procedural heat shields. Because when you're taking the Mark 1-2 pod, which is the 3-person command pod, and you're re-entering, if you have a 2.5 meter heat shield on the bottom, anything that is attached to the sides of that pod will get destroyed. However, with procedural parts, you can oversize the heat shield slightly and protect those parts. Wonderful. So you don't have to use a 3.75 meter heat shield, which just looks really weird on one of those pods. Been there, done that. So that's procedural parts pretty much nailed. Here we go, there's the other mods. You got Deadly Reentry Heat Shield, Real Fuel's Solid Rocket Boosters, Real Fuel Tanks, Tank for Extraplanetary, Ethane Tanks, and Life Support. So if you have any of those mods installed, you will get a procedural tank for them. Or procedural tanks, I should say. It will automatically configure them. Electrical battery. If you have a look in here, standard part file, career attack limits, and here pretty much the same. You've got the shapes, and then here tank content switcher just says basically the only one that's available is electric. It gives you dry density, and that's the only resource that you can carry. Now, in Interstellar, you do have the what's it called? You got not only waste heat, but you have, I can't remember the name of it, another type of power, thermal power. You can, of course, create a tank that holds it, because that's the standard resource in KSP. You can create antimatter tanks. It's a simple case of copying that section, pasting it in below, i.e. below that point, and then the world's your oyster. Any resource, you can create a tank for it. So simple, so straightforward. Tank you can resize, so you only have one part that will cover a multitude of sizes. Anything you can think of can be covered. So those people that are struggling with memory, if you want to get rid of a load of parts, trust me, an absolute load of parts, then procedural parts is for you. Can you modify this to use an existing part that you have in your KSP? I believe you can. It's something I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days to make a procedural truss segment. Obviously I need to teach myself that. Might show that in Kerbal Wednesdays. As most people will probably be aware, I am involved in a DMP project, which is Dark Multiplayer. It's KSP multiplayer mod. So a lot of my that at the moment because I'm configuring the parts for it, and I'm going to be reconfiguring the Kerbal. That's going to be fun. So, a lot of procedural parts are required for that. So that's procedural parts done. Let's go take a look at procedural fairings. This is the first time I've looked at procedural fairings. I know roughly what it does. Read me here, which gives you help on various things. Wonderful, thank you. You can read that at your heart's content. Game data procedural fairings. Oh, there's an image file there. Let's do extra large. Nope, Windows doesn't want to load targets. Ah, well that's new. Since when does Windows not have support for TGA files? Ah. Alright, so straight away, 2 DLLs. Interestingly, we've got the same extensions DLL here as we had in procedural tanks. So let's take a look here. Procedural fairings, we'll take a look at the base. Pretty much a standard config. People might not be aware that node stacks, you can have multiples of them. And of course stack symmetries you can define, which in this case is 8. Because it's 1 less, because it starts, stack symmetry starts at 0, not 1. So looking down here, bearing bases, yeah, standard config here, module, here we go. Name is procedural fairing base. Well, that comes from the DLL, comes with it. So it tells the module its size. Let's take a look. Next, KZ node number tweaker. New module here. Given the name, would assume that this allows you to do multi-connects for nodes, and therefore the node number tweaker changes the nodes as you change basically the geometry of the part. KZ fairing base resizer, and that's the module that changes the size of the part, in this case the base. So let's take another look. There we go. But there's the base model. Base text. Now I would assume that's the texture file. And that one. There's another model. Common.cfg. Oh, common CFGs. We like them. Let's take a look. Procedural fairings mind. Wait a minute. Procedural fairings min diameter. So start of 1. Precision engineering. I assume that's the step to change it by. And sandbox is 0.1. Interesting. Interesting set of configs here. Oh, dummy config. We can ignore that. Ah, I see what this is. Right. I was thinking they were looking familiar. Right, procedural fairings minimum diameter. When you start off at the game, the smallest you can have is a 1 meter. However, once you get to Precision Engineering unlock, this is all career, you can go down to 0.5, and if you go into Sandbox, you can have 0.1. Maximum. Right, when you start off, the maximum diameter is 1.5. When you get to Aerodynamic Systems unlock in career, you can go to 3. Heavy Dynamics unlock, you can go to 6. Experimental Aerodynamics, you can go to 10. And when you're in Sandbox, the biggest size is 50, and that's all in meters. That's how that works. So, same goes for Procedural Rocket, min diameter, max diameter. Right, that's that one. Work that one out. Go on, is there anything else that's gonna confuse me? Sides? Let's take a look at sides. See if we can find something confusing. Part file, by the looks of it. Yep. Staging icon. That's a value that most people would probably not come across. In your staging, on the right hand side if you're in the VAB, or left hand side while you're flying, you can define parts as having an icon or not. Right, that is the value for decouplers. So, I'm going to scroll down here. Module, procedural fairing side. These are the config values for it. So, we've got the density, cost per ton, which therefore works out the physical weight of the side based on its geometry. Braking force and torque. Basically, that is for the amount of force given as it blows the side off. Nose height ratio, I assume that's the ratio that's used to calculate the actual height of the nose, so you've got plenty of clearance. Cone shapes, nose cone, base and nose cone segments, so I would imagine you can increase or decrease that to make it smoother, I suppose. Not quite sure what they are for. Might be a config to the module itself, so probably a good idea to leave them alone. And of course, module procedural fairing decoupler. That just gives it all the function of the decoupler. So, pretty much as standard so far. Assume these are the old ones. Can we see anything in here that might confuse us? Oh, by the looks of it, it's all pretty much standard in there. So let's go and take a look at procedural wings. Now procedural wings I already know because I've read the instructions a little bit, but it's actually quite complicated in the game. Where are you? Procedural ferrets, procedural wings. Settings file. Oh, the readme by the way. Right, that is your. Mostly there are your key bindings, doing certain functions within the VAB and the SPH, and they are basically the speeds and movement as you're changing the part. Plugins, yeah, we know what's in there. Queuing. Parts. Oh, we've got quite a few in here. Oh, wonderful. Procedural control surfaces. Oh yes, I need them. Oh, we've got a deadly re-entry config. Definitely interested in this. So, if it's got deadly re-entry, it's adding the heat shield module onto the parts. Is that all of them? Yeah, it looks like it's adding heat shield. Well, sort of. It's the reflective heat shield, so it will survive. It won't just instantly go poof at the at its max temperature. You'll get all that flames and smoke that comes out, and the basically a little warning, unless of course you really do just get the re-entry wrong. So let's take a look at Procedural Wing B9. So we do have a PNG texture which can be edited. We've got the model. We can ignore that, that's just generated from that. And we have a part config. Let's take a look at it. Looks like a standard part config to me. Scrolling down. Module. The wing manipulator. Okay, interesting. So that's the wing manipulator. That tells it that a wing can be manipulated using the DLL. And then we have module manager script in here. Going to this modifies the part if you have far installed or near. So basically it deletes those, it changes or deletes those values and then adds in the far module for the wing, so it makes far behave itself. Oh, nifty. So by the looks of this, you can add procedural wings, procedural fairings, and procedural tanks modules to any other part. We like that. Definitely. So let's see. All moving surface. Kinda curious. Don't make much of that model. That texture rather. Have a look at the config. Yep. Pretty much standard. Oh, wait. Module control surface. Okay. And there you have the wing manipulator. And same again, you have the far module being added if far is installed. Cool. Take a look at control surfaces. That's what I'm really interested in. Because I always find that control surfaces just aren't big enough at times. Texture. I'll look at the config, standard part config. Yep, here we go. Wing manipulator, record. Sets the minimum span for the wing, fair enough. Symmetric movement. True. Okay. Do not participate in parent snapping. That's going to be a KSP thing to do, well, obviously to do with snapping. I think that's when you snap one object to another, it auto rotates to a certain angle. So that's basically saying yes, rotate the part with the parent. Wonderful. Is it a wing? Well, no it isn't. Is it a control surface? Yes it is. Kind of self-explanatory. Relative thickness scaling is set to false. Fair enough. So let's see, adds in control surface module. Yep, and then that would be far. So it looks like all of the config work is done basically by the DLL. So you know what? I want to see these things in action. And I'm pretty sure you guys do as well. So, I'm going to be going over yet again installing mods. Into the game directory here. I do of course have HyperEdit installed on this one. Let's go back here. So we're going to start with procedural wings is actually the top one. Go into here and no, back one, this directory. So we go copy, go into here and we go pasty. Back to the 9 directory, that one's done by the way. Procedural parts, we actually have a game data directory. Now this one wants module manager, so we're going to need to put module manager in. But we can grab procedural parts, copy, pasty. We go down here, procedural fairings, we have a game data directory. We grab that one, copy, pasty. Right, now we need module manager. Is this one. Grab the DLL, copy, pasty. And there we go. We've grabbed the mods, but we've updated the module manager that they need. that one. So then we can go in here and start KSP. So this is stock KSP, so it shouldn't take too long to start up. In the meantime, I'll just reconfigure my screens. Uh-oh. Mental note. Don't start two KSPs at the same time. Oops, my bad. So, need to reconfigure my screens. I was getting worried then. And there we go. Start game. Oh, we don't have a resumed on this one. Let's start another one. We're going to go sandbox. And let's take a look at the mods and see what they do. Now let's go and start off with tanks and fairings. So we're going to want a rocket. So stay put, Nick. Tanks. No, where are the modular tanks? Where have they been put? There we go. Put that on there. Right click on it and it gives us a whole new menu. So we can make the tank bigger. Or really thin. Got fine adjustments on it. We can make the tank really long or not. And tank type, as we explained, can be changed. I wonder if we could make a procedural engine. No, because it requires specialist configuration. Nope. Oh well. But that would be interesting for somebody to do. Procedural engines mod. So any developers watching this that knows procedural engine, procedural parts, etc., procedural engines would be wonderful. So we want a small micro engine, like that one. And a couple of solar panels right here. There we go, we have one satellite. Simple little satellite. So we want to put that in orbit. So we're going to want a fairing around it. Should be under structural. There we go. So you got different fairing types there. Fair enough. Procedural stack decoupler goes on there. Obviously that's far too big, so let's go and reduce it down. And we want the base. Where's the base? There's your procedural structural element. Okay. Can I not see the wood for the trees again? There's your procedural SRB. I wonder if it's under there. Oh, here we go. Bearing base. A couple are sold separately. So what's the difference between that one and this one? Bearing adapter. Oh, that's for top loading, right? Okay. Interesting. Oh, procedural control surfaces. Don't want to that one. Oh, you know what? Let's go with this one. And we can already see it's drawn in lines to go around it. So, Sonic. Oops. Oomph. There we go. And as you can see, it has set up our staging correctly. So we want this to go into orbit, don't we? So we're going to go back into here. We want procedural tank like that. And you know what? I'll be darned if I'm going to launch it with 1.25s. Not into orbit. So we're going to go change it to cone at the top there, bottom as 2.5 like that. Leave it as mixed fuel, and there we have an adapter. Grab a tank again, put it on there, right click, diameter, length. Yay! And then we want mainsail on the bottom. Now you know what I could really do with right now? Either Kerbal Engineer or MechJab. I'm going to get flat for that. So let's have a rough guess as to what might get us into orbit. Right, let's go and sort our staging. And there we go, simple little rocket using procedural stuff. Really need procedural engines. I don't know why anyone hasn't created procedural engines yet. And let's go and launch. Not got a clue if this has got enough fuel to get into orbit, but let's go. sat on the launch pad. So enable SAS, throttle all the way up. Let's see how high we can get with this. So straight away our TWR is actually quite high. Let's go throttle down a bit. That should do us. Let's go ahead and start pitching over. Greetings, Oak Tree. Procedural SAS modules, because of their unique modules that are in them, unfortunately it's a coding thing, same with the engines. As I said, don't know why on earth they haven't been created yet. However, I do know that tweak scale does seem to work with reaction wheels and engines, although I'm not entirely sure how good. Right, let's go and separate the fairings. They only just missed. And separate our little satellite. And let's go and circularize. Well, ish. They do not, which I'm quite surprised about. I would have thought somebody would have created procedural engines by now. Well, that's probably an absolutely lousy orbit. Well, actually it's worse than that. We actually get a Mun encounter. And I wasn't even trying for a Mun encounter. And it's off exploring the solar system. In fact, that's a very close call with the sun. Cool. So, simple enough to use procedural fairings, and until this stream I'd never even touched them. Procedural tanks, however, I use all the time. Love procedural tanks. Procedural SRBs, yep. The procedural parts mod comes with procedural SRBs. I will show that now. So just bear with me. I think we're going to leave that to go and explore the Kerbal-verse. So we're going to use a stay put nick again. just for demonstration purposes. So if we go into engines, we have Procedural SRB, and that's the default size that it comes with. Right clicking on it and change its texture. Let's find something awful. Putrid green, that'll do. You can change its shape. Let's leave it a smooth cone. Now, of course, you can change also the type of curves that it's got. Let's leave it at that, and then you can change its actual sizes. Now, if you're using SRBs on the surface, you're going to want this set to surface. If you're using an SRB in a vacuum, change it to the vacuum one. But we're going to be using this on the surface. Now, when you change the bottom size, it changes how much thrust can be delivered. Now, the higher the thrust, the faster it's going to use fuel. But you can go right up. That's 3.1 meganewtons, and it won't let me go any higher. But if I up the size of the bottom, it lets me go bigger. So let's increase the length a little bit and have a bit of fun. Yep, that's the biggest it'll let me. I suspect this is going to need some fins. Yeah, let's use that. Oops. So you know that challenge that you did last week, Oak Tree, with the SRBs? Something like this would make it a lot more tweakable. Now, because of the thrust to weight ratio, one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to leave the solar system, or it's just going to completely rip itself apart. Or it's going to glitch into the launch pad. That would be a bug. Well, this could be interesting. Yeah. Hot. But you get the idea. I'm kind of curious to see how high this is going to go. SpaceX launch? I thought it was going to be cancelled because of weather. Or did they just delay it? Let's go and roll it over. Now this should, I think, act as a lawn dart. Or not. Being said, that centre of mass is probably right at the rear. So it'll probably come down bell first. So did they actually launch it then? Scrub till Thursday. Yep, I thought it would be. Greetings, first ghost. Yep, I was looking at the weather earlier on, because I know some parts were having bad weather, and I was expecting it to be scrubbed. Kind of why I started streaming right in the middle of it, but I was actually late streaming Mod Mondays today. So I had my head in a KSP log file and lost track of time. So just for fun, we're going to let this explode, which may result in secondary explosions by the looks of this. Impact! Kaboom! Wow, really? Well, that's funky. Well, I couldn't have planned this any more perfectly if I'd have tried. Oh, that's something else here now. If you're gonna hit a building, hit it straight down on the sidewall and you won't destroy anything. Yep, Doc Dat, you need to change the nav ball to surface rather than orbital. Weird. Just try it again for us. And you see at the top of the nav ball here, it'll say orbit, then speed. If you click on it, you've got surface and speed. And if you have a target, it'll say target and its speed. Now, if you're landing on a surface, you need it in surface mode. See here, it says 0.0 meters per second. That gives me my surface speed. However, if we switch it to orbit, it gives our orbital speed. So you've got to make sure that your nav ball is in the right mode when you're trying to land. Right. If you are still having trouble, right, get hold of me, send me a PM. Even better, right, if you can stream, right, we'll walk you through it. So drop me a PM, and if I'm not streaming myself later on, then I'll jump into your stream and walk you through it. If you're still having trouble, because that's very odd, and I want to see what it is you're doing. And I'm pretty sure that Oak Tree and First Ghost are also interested in that. If you found a bug, we want to know about it. So, I'm going to leave that there. So, we've covered procedural fairings, procedural tanks, procedural SRBs. Now we're going to take a look at procedural wings. Now, I know quite a bit about the principles of flight. I used to teach it. So, this should be interesting. Let's make up something simple. Procedural tank, where are you? Here you are. Something simple like that. Then we go into here. Have a turbo fan on. There we go, that should do it. So, procedural wings. Where are they? Interesting. That, I definitely want to see that. Right, different types of procedural wings here. Now let's take a look at this one. That's the circular ones. Don't like them. Ooh. Right, set this symmetry mode. You've never streamed. Well, there's always first time. So right click on it, root thickness. Yep, thought as much. If we look here, and change the thickness at the root, which is here, and then you can also change the thickness at the tips. When you click on show wing data, it gives you all the data, which probably won't be able to understand unless you know the principles. But as a general rule, those top two are the ones you should be looking at. So let's go and pick something a little bit more reasonable. And one of the things that we can do how well does its surface attach? Well, that's not brilliant. We can have it a little bit thicker on the inside. Probably one of the weirdest planes I've ever built. Certainly not aesthetically pleasing. But let's go see if it flies. Well, that ain't gonna fly. Hang on, slight adjustment needed. Although, yeah. I really wish they'd have sorted the collision meshes out. Yep, slight problem with the attachment meshes on the models. That's a shame, that really does let it down. Oops. Oh dear. Well, let's see what this does. I've got caps lock on. Well. Doctor, do you know how to upload images to like Photo Bucket or anything like that? You posted any screen caps before? Throw it a look, SAS on. Let's see if these wings are any good. Thinking about it, I might not have enough wings. Although it seems to do okay. Not doing too badly here. It seems that the math calculations for the lift are pretty accurate. Oh, that's a bit low. More wings required. Now, that being said, there are additional configuration options that aren't in the right click. So for that, I need to pull up manual. Bear with me one moment. Procedural fairings. Procedural wings. Right. No. Oh, move the page. Right. According to the instructions, once a wing section is placed, mouse movement plus following commands changes the shape of the wings. Interesting. I'll tell you what, let's get rid of that. Apparently I can change the shapes of these wings. So let's see here. Mouse movement and B. Aha. Ooh. Oops, I clicked. I won't. T. Okay, yep. Tip position G. Ooh. Uh-oh. Something buggy going on. Doesn't want to come back out again. Why do you not want to come back out again? Really? There we go. Have to make sure you're inside the part. Oops, I clicked. Gotta remember not to click. Interesting. However, I'm not sure it is changing the central lift though. No, it doesn't seem to be changing the centre of lift. I really hope it's recalculating the lift properly. So, chuck that there. Save and launch. So we will soon find out if it's actually recalculating the lift properly. Because with wings like that, for that amount of weight, it should take off quite easily. Yep, it does indeed recalculate lift. Wow, that turns pretty quick. What the? What did I just hit? Okay! I hit some sort of object while I'm flying. Anyway, that works. But we need control surfaces. Let's take a look at procedural control surfaces. So in here, procedural control surface. I hit the bell, but I didn't think the bell was supposed to be there. Oh, do we have an attachment problem here? Yep, like it doesn't want to attach quite right. Oh, now that's... Oh, that's... It's... Well, let's go and assign this one to pitch. Now, I should be able to change things. Yep. That should change that side. Oops, daisy. It. Definitely has attach issues. I can't attach it to this segment of the wing. Greetings, Ghost Rider. We're all good. We're just in the final steps. We're looking at the mod in KSP. We've already been through the config files. So now we're looking at the mod itself and is it any good. And we've already spotted a few quirks. Nuts. I didn't switch fast enough to see who that was. Thank you for the follow. Why as read only? Okay, let me know how you're getting on. That doesn't sound quite right what you've described. Okay. So we've assigned pitch to them. Now, what others do we have on here? We cannot attach control surfaces to the extended wings. That's gonna get annoying. Hey. Anything else that's been added in here? Structural intakes. Oh. Definitely seem to have a limitation with the wings here. Ah, wonderful. Glad it's working, Doctor. Right, attaching, then angling them back. Okay. And this time we select the B9 ones. We need that and that. And it's the... So you mean make them straight like that and then attach the control surfaces? Nope. It only wants to attach them down here. Greetings, Curly. Yep. Oh. I believe there is a lighting bug on screen right now. Eh. Interesting. I love finding bugs on screens. So, no, you're... Need to add the rear wheels back in again. Well, the good thing is... Oh, away! That the attach mesh for these wings seems to be a lot closer to the model mesh. But I can't move the wings, wheels up the wings. So I can only attach within the original area. I don't know what causes that. And the mod maker's going to have a load of fun sorting it. Let's go for a flight. Might want to refresh their Curly. And thinking about getting some sort of ad blocker. Because the ads aren't there for me. I haven't put them there. So I get nothing from them. Okay. Now those control surfaces look a bit sluggish for me. Now that's impressive. Whee! Really? Wonderful lot of side slip here. Apparently I hit the SRB. Well, it's not there anymore. Kind of like how these wings are running, you know. Not bad. Thank you for the follow, Danny Monty. You love side slip. Now the only question becomes, I need to repair that at some point. Now the only question comes, how would they handle some of my super huge rockets? Uh-oh. That was close. Now that does give me an idea. Where are you going? Oops. Oh dear, oh dear. I think we lost the engine. Nope, nope. I wonder, does this suffer from InfiniGlide? Answer is nope. We don't need no engine. Now. Fine. Now the question is, we've expanded the wing. I wonder. Nope. It only wants to add it there. So I know exactly what that is. And I know the mod creator is going to have a complete and utter mess sorting that out. Yeah, the model files themselves have multiple meshes. How can I explain this simply? One of which is basically the texture mesh, which is what you see, and then you also have collision meshes, and it's expanding one but not the other. But by the looks of what I've just done, the mod creator is getting around it by moving it from here and putting it onto here. Interesting turn. So let's have a look at this, shall we? Nope, that's the wrong wing. That one. That's going to get really weird having to do it this way. Now that should mean, theoretically, there it is. Don't want to attach in a straight line, do they? Yeah, a few bugs with this mod. The hell's it doing with attaching? My god, man. Oops. Clicked. Don't want to click. Clicked again. My bad. Propeller plane, yay! Kerbal power! Doctor, do a search in the mods for UBO welding. It's a mod that allows you to weld parts together and create parts from welded parts. Oh! Oh! Now what's going on there? I have no yaw control either. What is this that I hit? It's the engine bell. So what on earth is it doing up there? It's supposed to be on top of that building. Wow, I'm finding a load of bugs today. But plenty of wing surface, nice slow glider. Speed's actually coming up and the engine is only idling. Oh, the engine's idling and we're climbing. I know, right? I never even saw it. And I suddenly saw this black dot on the screen and I'm like, what the heck's that? And I went whap straight into it. Bugs? Yeah, I find them. Should have been on stream with me yesterday. Well, this morning, my time. I was finding loads of bugs. Needs a better tailplane. Come on. Stop trying to tail drag and spin around. Give it a bit more power. That might help. Yep, that's definitely starting to help. Uh-oh. Ah. Okay, we like to fly sideways. Oh, that's a flat spin. Space plane one. In what way? There's always ways to build space plane, but space plane one? Need a rudder. Big rudder. Need something big on here. Yep, thinking about it. I wonder. Where are they? I'll be willing to bet the next one can go there. Yep, thought as much. It seems Nightbot is absent. Oh, you mean Spaceship One, right? Yes, you can. Spaceship One can indeed be built. I believe it's been done. Oh well. It doesn't show as deleted on my screen. But yes, Spaceship One can be built. You just have to be creative with it. I mean, it's not an SSTO,